Northeast Georgia and the Lowcountry. This is WJCL 22 Morning News. See us now.
It's just perfect storm for emergency departments being overcrowded, backed up.
Right now on WJCL 22 Morning News, Omicron wave warning. Experts say they're at a new peaks. There's new peaks of the pandemic ahead. Online retail giant Amazon hit with a new lawsuit. Parents of a victim killed inside the company's warehouse behind the suit, why they're claiming the company valued money over the lives of their employees.
Where does voting rights reform go from here? I'm Aixa Diaz in Washington with the ongoing fight on Capitol Hill.
Plus, an aviation crisis warning from major airlines. Officials sharing the devastating possible impacts of the new 5G technology. It is now 6 o'clock on a Tuesday morning, and here's a live look from our Skyview 22 camera down at the Homewood Suites on the beautiful Savannah River. As you can see, got a tugboat out there, and things are going to be pretty nice. Again, a little chilly, but pretty nice. Good morning, I'm Frank Sulkowski.
And I'm Emma Hamilton, our meteorologist, Melissa Hall. She's, of course, also here with that certified most accurate forecast. And Melissa, as Frank was just saying, chilly out there, but thank goodness that wind has kind of died down, because yesterday and what was yesterday? Monday. Okay. And Sunday, my goodness gracious, blowing right over.
So blustery. Anytime you looked out the window, even every tree was just swaying in the breeze. We just couldn't catch a break from it, but at least it dried out for yesterday, right? We didn't have to deal with the rain and the wind. Well, today it's cleared out, both the rain, the wind, things calming down. But you know what happens with that clearing? We cool out as well. And as you look across the SEC, we've got high pressure starting to dominate our forecast for a couple of days. That means we're waking up in the 30s for everybody across the area, low 30s, mid 30s if you live along the coast and you're luckier. But the rest of us, it is hovering really cool. Those temperatures below freezing for almost everybody, and the feel-like temperature with just a smidge of wind, not even that much wind, feels like it's in the mid 20s for a lot of us as you head out the door this morning. So definitely bundle up. If you can go out, get your car warming up, do that. And this afternoon, well, by lunchtime, I would like to say it's going to be better, but we're only going to be in the low 50s. We're going to stay on that cooler side, but it's also calmer outside. So your milder temperatures will come into play in the mid 50s for a daytime high. And as you look ahead, we keep warming up. We keep that sunshine and that milder weather around by Thursday. That average high temperature of 61, well, instead of running 5 degrees below it, we're actually going to be running about 5 degrees above it. But there's a trade-off. That's coming in ahead of our next system, a blast of cold air coming in late week, and not only is it going to get cold, it's going to get wet as well by Friday. So impact weather to finish this work week. But what about the weekend? What does it offer? We'll look at it here in that 10-day forecast.
All right, well, thank you so much. We are heading outside for a live look at traffic this morning. We are at I-95 at Highway 204 in Savannah, where it looks like commuter traffic is starting to pick up out there.
Well, the voting rights rumble on Capitol Hill continues today.
Democrats are set to start the process of trying to debate voting reform. Our Aixa Diaz is in our Washington bureau this morning with the latest on today's agenda.
Where does voting rights reform go from here? I'm Aixa Diaz in Washington with the ongoing fight on Capitol Hill. Debate on the Senate floor begins today on voting rights and could last all week. Democratic leaders want to pass 2 voting rights acts to expand access to the ballot box across the country, but Republicans say that's not necessary. Without GOP support, Democrats would need to change Senate rules to pass voting rights with a simple majority. But moderates Joe Manchin and Kyrsten Sinema have said no. Debate this week will likely end with a failed vote, but some Democrats say the fight isn't over.
We're not giving up. We're going to fight, and we plan to win.
Congressman Clyburn also supports altering the Electoral Count Act, a proposal that has bipartisan support. Lawmakers from both sides have talked about changing how Congress counts electoral votes. In Washington, I'm Aixa Diaz.
Senators Manchin and Sinema say if Democrats change Senate rules for voting right now, the move could backfire later when Republicans regain control and pass their own election laws.
All right, now warnings of an upcoming Omicron wave. Omicron hitting different parts of the country at different times. And as Britt Conway reports, the U.S. Surgeon General says a national peak likely won't happen for weeks.
Let me paint a picture for you of my shift. We were down 10 nurses in the emergency department. We had a few dozen patients waiting for hours at a time, and the patients just kept coming. It is so disheartening to have been through surge after surge of these patients. Normally, after a flood, you rebuild. We have never had the chance to do that, and it has only gotten worse.
COVID-19 is still spreading. Hospitals are straining, and Omicron is hitting them with a 1-2 punch. More cases, fewer staff. Some are getting COVID-19. Others are getting burnt out and leaving. But this virus isn't leaving. In some parts of the Northeast, cases have plateaued or even declined. Still,
the challenge is that the entire country is not moving at the same pace. The Omicron wave started later in other parts of the country, so we shouldn't expect a national peak in the next coming days. Next few weeks will be tough.
The CDC says the country is averaging more than 780,000 new cases a day, despite issues with testing access. But the White House is pushing to increase access. Starting Wednesday, you'll be able to request free rapid antigen tests at covidtest.gov, 4 per household. Experts say it's time to double down on what we know works.
That's why we want everyone to get vaccinated, to get boosted as soon as they can.
I'm Britt Conway reporting.
Amazon is facing a new lawsuit this morning from the parents of a victim who died after a tornado struck one of the company's warehouses. Their 26-year-old son died when the tornado struck the Edwardsville, Illinois Amazon facility back in December. The suit claims Amazon failed to protect its workers, placing profits over their safety during the holiday rush. Spokesperson for Amazon says the company will fight the lawsuit as it continues to support employees and families of lost loved ones. OSHA is investigating the collapse of that facility. All new this morning, major airlines are sounding the alarm, warning of a crisis over new 5G technology.
ABC's Alex Perche spoke with one airline CEO who says the impact will be devastating.
This morning, major airlines warning of a possible catastrophic aviation crisis starting tomorrow when AT&T and Verizon are set to deploy new 5G wireless service. Airline officials say they fear 5G signals could interfere with something called a radar altimeter, an instrument that tells pilots how far they are from the ground. It helps them land in poor visibility. 5G frequencies are close to the ones used in some radar altimeters.
This is unsafe. Let us be clear. This is unsafe. The manufacturers have said so, our airlines are saying so, the FAA is saying so, and so are pilot unions.
The FAA says pilots will not be able to use that radar altimeter to land at 88 airports closest to those 5G towers. So in bad weather, when pilots can't see the ground, they'd have to land somewhere else, potentially triggering a slew of cancellations and delays. Other countries have successfully launched similar 5G signals, but the FAA says there are key differences. Like in France, the signals are permanently blocked near airports, protecting the final minute and a half of flights as they land. In the U.S., the signal would only be blocked for the next 6 months and just for the final 20 seconds of landings. Executives from airlines, including American, Delta, United, and Southwest, have written to the Biden administration requesting 5G signals be kept at least 2 miles away from airports or risk a catastrophic disruption. Verizon and AT&T have not commented on the letter. Earlier this month, they declined a request by the FAA to delay the launch by 2 weeks. The agency saying in a new statement that it continues to work with the aviation industry and wireless companies to try to limit 5G-related flight delays and cancellations. Alex Perche, ABC News, New York.
Well, thousands of flights were canceled or delayed over the past few days because of a winter storm. What some travelers don't know is that some delays can be called for refunds. Now, the Department of Transportation regulation states a passenger is entitled to a refund if the airline made a significant schedule change and or significantly delays a flight and the passenger chooses not to travel. Now, the agency doesn't define what a significant delay is, but for most instances, 6 hours or more, well, that fits the standard.